Welcome to episode 2 of the Fit Parent Podcast. I'm Adam Northover.
And I'm Naomi Northover. And in this episode, we're going to be covering several topics. The first, training and the most common mistakes we see. Secondly, parenting and how it's down to you as the parent to set the standards for your children. Nutrition, we're going to cover healthy meal ideas for children and eating together as a family. Supplements, we're going to be covering protein powders. And the final topic is going to be on coaching and how you can't actually do it alone. So, shall we get into this?
Let's do it. So I guess, first of all, you and I spend a fair amount of our time in the gym. And there are some really, really common mistakes that we see week in, week out. And I think it's really important to highlight what people are doing wrong so that then people can actually put action in place and kind of remedy these without the need for a coach potentially. So one of the big things I see as a male and looking at other males training is a lack of intensity. You know, people think they train hard, but the reality is they don't. And the thing is, you cannot go to the gym, in my view, and just do the same 3 sets of 10 every single session for every single exercise. Your body needs a reason to grow muscle. Most guys have the intention of, I want to build muscle, but then their training suggests that that is not the case. So what they need to be doing is pushing themselves harder than last time. And that comes with progressive overload. And we'll cover that topic another day because it's quite nuanced. But the big thing is take your sets to failure. Imagine someone's got a gun to your head and they say, do another rep. If you can do 1, 2, 3, you haven't trained hard enough. If you physically cannot do it, that's the set done. Do you see that quite commonly with females as well?
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think, well, it's probably the same for men and women. A lot of people don't understand that that is needed and that they think just going through the motions will get them results when it really doesn't.
And I think people are like, well, I've been to the gym. Yeah, there's going to the gym and then there's going to the gym. And we've all done it. Like I've made the mistakes in the past, I'm sure you have as well, where, you know, back in the day, you would just go to the gym, turn up, guess at the weights that you're using, be like, that will do. And then push and be like, oh, okay, that started to hurt a little bit. I'll stop there. And the big tip I can give people is you're waiting almost for that involuntary slowing of the muscle when it comes to your form. So you will have kind of a standardized form. And if you're working in a 10 to 15 rep range, those first 10 reps will probably look pretty uniform. But then when you start to get into that 11th, 12th, where things start to get difficult, what you'll find is that you cannot move your muscles at the same tempo. So you're lifting, say, a preacher curl, and you know you'll find that actually you put in the same amount of effort and it just won't go up. So then you have to go even more. Everything that you've done up until that point is a precursor to that. That is the first effective rep for muscle growth. If you're stopping there, then your set is useless in effect.
Yeah. And as you said, I think we've all done it. And mine's probably up until after having Olivia, where that's when I really started applying progressive overload. Like you say, we won't, and training with full intensity, but we'll save that for another day. But you can see that if you look at my photos before having a baby, I went to the gym 5 times a week.
Yep.
And yes, I was slim. I was tall, size 8, and I was slim, but there was no shape to me. And on my own personal coaching page, I've recently done the transformation and shown my physique now since having Olivia, post-baby, and how my shape has really changed because my training has changed.
Absolutely. And I think for a woman, it's even harder to get into that mindset from what I can see from the outside looking in. I think, you know, if you give guidance to a guy and tell them that this is how you should really be doing it, then they take that on board quite quickly. Often sometimes at the detriment of just focusing purely on moving more weight. But again, that's another topic for another day. But I think with women, it can be really, really hard to get into that killer mindset almost of making every rep count, because women can be a little bit more reserved in the gym, conscious of how they're looking, you know, putting those ugly faces in those final few reps. And a lot of people don't want to look like that. In your experience, what was it that held you back from training with intensity? And then what kind of changed in your mind to get you to where you needed to be?
I think it's you feel pain and you think, oh, I must be working hard enough, so I'll stop. Whereas actually your mind, it's all with your mindset. You need to push through that. It is meant to hurt. Those last few reps should hurt. And it's a case of not stopping there. If you know you've still got more in the tank, that's your sign to keep pushing. And just in terms of, for women, it is different. You're worried, but nobody's looking at you. And there's one extreme to another. There's pulling some ugly faces. And on the flip side, you see people just absolutely milking it and literally looking like they're giving birth. There's no need for that, but there will be some ugly faces. But yeah, there is a flip side to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's fake intensity, and we see it all the time, particularly with influencers and that sort of thing, you know, whereby they're making it look like they're working really hard. And then you look at the weight that's being moved and it's like 1 plate, 2 plates, something like that. And you're just like, no, you're putting it on for the camera. And I think people can get sucked into that a little bit because, oh, I can lift really light, but make it look like I'm lifting really hard. And again, that's another kind of mistake that we see. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what's another mistake that you see commonly?
I'd probably say form. And again, it's just because people are in there and they haven't got the proper guidance. So will have seen something on TikTok, again, from an influencer type person where it's overcomplicated, where it does not need to be. And like, not that we're in the gym judging or anything like that, but sometimes it's like that person's going to actually really injure themselves if they continue doing this. So yeah, I'd definitely say form and just not nailing the basics.
Yeah, and I think with form as well goes to full range of motion. And a lot of guys are guilty of half reps. You know, I used the preacher curling example earlier.
Yeah.
And a lot of people there will literally move their arms this much. So they're here coming down, up, and it's almost like a pulse. What you've got to concentrate on when you're training is fully lengthening and fully shortening a muscle. So in a bicep curl, fully lengthen, fully shorten. It's that contraction. That is what is going to, you know, cause the damage in your muscle to then make it recover and grow. So I do think you're right in that form gets sacrificed a lot alongside range of motion. And the good thing is, like, obviously anyone who comes on board with us when it comes to form, we put videos on for everyone. So if you're not sure of a movement, you know, like, in the past, when I was first starting out, I had hack squat, and I was like, well, I don't even know what that is, you know, and I could guess it or I could watch a video, but it took me hours to look through a program and Google everything. Whereas obviously we do that for our clients. So, you know, there's no excuse for our clients really to not at least understand the basics of a movement. And then they have the option, obviously, to video themselves, send it to us, and then we can critique it. So I think a lot of people get worried with online coaching that they're not going to get that bespoke service and, oh, well, I don't really feel confident in the gym, so I'm not going to progress. But actually, we can do everything distance-based and still give you that feedback.
Yeah, and I've got a good example of that, actually. One of my clients, Jo, she was really struggling with RDLs. So she sent me her footage across, and it took us a while. And I ended up in our kitchen using the bloody washing line pole as an example. But she got it. And again, it's just, if our clients communicate with us that it's not quite feeling right, we will always say, send us some footage over, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be form. Sometimes it might be the case that the exercise just doesn't suit you. So, for example, B stance RDLs, I cannot do. And I think it's because I'm so gangly. Because when I was working with Georgie, I knew my form was correct, but I even messaged, so a coach messaging another coach saying, Georgie, can you just check my form? Because it's just not feeling right. I can't feel the connection. And she was like, your form's spot on, but you're just gangly. So it's just not feeling. So we switched it. So that can be the case at times.
Yeah, definitely.
It is rare. It is normally a form issue, but there can be the odd movement that you just can't connect with.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And then I guess another issue that we see, quite commonplace, people just looking lost in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, I know on that drive to the gym exactly what machines I'm going to be doing and in what order. And then, you know, if I'm drilling it down even more, then I also know what weight I'm going to use and roughly what reps I'm going to be pushing for. I think one of the big things is people not having a plan, and they'll walk into that gym and they'll be like, what am I training today? Not sure, but I'll start off on that. And then they just hop around from machine to machine. Again, there's no intensity, there's no structure. It's a very mismatched session. And as a result, they're just almost driving themselves into the ground with fatigue if they've even put in the work. Or if not, they're just going through the motions and getting next to nothing from that session.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for women, most of the women who come to me who haven't got gym experience say to me, I get to the gym, I don't have a plan, I look at the machines, feel freaked out, don't know what I'm doing, and I just go straight to the treadmill and just stay on that.
Yeah.
And that is the big thing. So having a plan to follow is definitely key.
And then alongside that as well, yes, it's good to have a plan, but what isn't good is that then people will program hop. So one week they'll be like, oh, I've tried this, it looks so good. Oh, I've seen something else that looks new and shiny. This must be the secret. I'll try that. 3 weeks in, I haven't got the results that I thought I would do. So now I'm going to go to this program. And all they do, they're never giving themselves enough time. We always say, just commit to something. Like when you're in a fat loss phase, commit to it. A bulk, commit to it. When you're in a training program phase, commit to it. You know, a good solid at least 8 to 10 weeks to get your teeth sunk into whatever program you've decided you want to give a go. But you're not going to see amazing results off the back of, 2 weeks following the same plan. You need to commit to it and then apply the progressive overload alongside that to really then maximize what you're getting out of that program.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but for myself, I say at a minimum of 15 to 20 weeks with the same program, that muscle needs to be worked in and out the same way over and over in order for it to grow. And yeah, we've seen people in the gym, they're doing a different thing all the time and their body never changes.
That's it. It's almost just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, actually. Just if you keep program hopping, you're never going to change.
Yeah.
And personally, I saw my best results over the last couple of years when I ran the same training program for it's over 67 weeks. And I would change out the occasional movement if I'd really, really plateaued on it. But generally speaking, I could get another rep out of it, and I would just rinse and repeat. So normally I will switch up for people's programs at about 20 weeks. A lot of people need that fresh impetus, that incentive to get into the gym because they get bored. But if you're really on a physique optimization journey, fuck boredom, fuck emotion, fuck feelings. You just need to keep doing the work. And yeah, it gets really damn hard. Like after 20 weeks, really, that's when you're properly in your groove. And that's when that progressive overload aspect and really pushing yourself gets really, really intense. But that's when the most gains are made because every session is a battle. You're going onto a leg press and you're looking at that thinking, bloody hell, I've increased this weight over a 20-week period. Like if I get one more rep out here, I'm going to be lucky and it's going to damn well hurt. Good. That's how you should feel in the gym. Like I get nervous going onto some lifts. Like I go onto like a heavy leg press and I have to psych myself up for it. I'm like, bloody hell, this is going to hurt. But you get it done. And then when you've done it, you're like, oh, smashed it.
Yeah. And I think the one main thing I say to my clients when it comes to changing a program, if you're still progressing, that's progress. And we don't need to change it up if you're still progressing. Like the only time that we really need to change it up is if strength literally plateaus, if we can't, like after a few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of nothing moving, then okay, maybe it's time. Or if boredom is that bad that it's putting you off going to the gym, but you need to commit to that minimum of 15 to 20 weeks before any of that.
I agree. So I think to summarize that topic of training really and the mistakes that we see, intensity is a big one or lack of it. So the remedy to that is push damn hard, push to failure. Imagine someone's got a gun to your head, says do one more rep. If you can, you haven't trained hard enough. People program hopping, stick to the same plan for a good 15, 20 plus weeks to get the most out of it. Form, make sure you are executing a full range of motion, keeping that tempo standardized, but there should be a slowing down and a breakdown of form for those last 2 to 3 reps. And then do not overcomplicate exercises by adding D handles onto machines that are already set up biomechanically for you and that sort of thing, and stop copying influencer workouts. Because 9 times out of 10, they haven't built their body by doing that. They've built that program for clicks and likes.
And money.
Exactly. But what I do think we should go into, and it's something really important, and it's your expertise here, is female training, because there's mistakes that you see being made with particularly postpartum mums. And I think it's a really important topic because actually people are putting themselves in danger. And I do think that's a real phrase to use, the word danger, and actually setting themselves up for long-term harm. So I'll let you dive into this really, because this is your area of expertise.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a pre and postnatal qualified fitness coach, and it is a massive passion of mine. Main reason being, when I was pregnant and after birth, I had no idea what was safe, what was not, and I didn't want women to be left in that same position. Unfortunately, I couldn't train after birth for 7 months anyway, and if you've watched episode 1, you'll kind of know a little bit around that. But yeah, it's a big thing I see, and I've seen it a lot over this last month, and I'm so passionate about women getting back into training safely after birth because, I mean, it's taken 9 months to grow a baby, and during that time, your body goes through a lot of changes. So you cannot expect to get back into a normal gym routine or program after giving birth. The main focus needs to be rehealing that core and pelvic floor. So you need to really strengthen all that before doing anything. So I have a specific approach that I use with my postnatal mums. It's a 3-step approach that gets them safely back into the gym. Now, everyone's birth is different. Everyone's recovery is different. So it isn't like a one size fits all. It is very bespoke and personalised to the individual. But it goes through the set stages to ensure that the core and pelvic floor is fully strengthened before going back into a normal gym routine. So it's not saying that you can't lift weights. In phase 2, I start introducing a little bit of weights, but it is very, very light. Because if you're loading too heavy or pushing weights that are too heavy, you're putting pressure on that pelvic floor and core. And some of the implications can be organ prolapse, urinary incontinence, chronic pain. And that can be short lasting, but it can be long term lasting as well. So as you rightly said, it is putting women's health at risk. And I've seen a few coaches out there who are not pre and postnatal qualified, and I see their girls training. And just in this last month, I've seen girls doing leg presses with 3 to 4 plates aside with babies who are still young.
When you say young, what sort of age are these babies?
Under 6 months.
Okay.
You should not be pushing that weight until your child is at least a year old.
So what sort, you talked about phases 1 and 2. How long should that last for?
It is dependent. So phase 1 is literally 0 to 6 weeks after birth.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, you should not be doing any exercising apart from a small amount of walking if you're comfortable enough to do that, and your pelvic floor exercises, because you shouldn't be doing any exercise until you're signed off from your doctor, which is usually around the 6 to 8 week mark post-birth. And a really big thing, actually, I've just had a new client sign up who is 5 weeks postpartum. She's just had her sign off, but I said to her, please make sure your doctor checks for abdominal separation, because from experience, my 6 week checkup, I think it ended up being 8 weeks because we were in COVID, was awful. They barely checked me at all. So she gave me an update yesterday. She's all signed off by the doctor, and she said he was really thorough with my check, but it's because I asked him to do it.
Nice.
So that is really important. So if you have just had a baby and you are awaiting your checkup, ask the doctor to check if you have any abdominal separation, because they should be doing that. And I know from experience that they don't.
Okay, so phase 1, about 6 to 8 weeks, roughly. I mean, like you say, everyone's different, but just as a general, like if I'm a female thinking about, okay, my gym journey now that I'm back, 6 to 8 weeks almost for stage 1.
Yeah.
Stage 2 is light weights in a gym.
Yeah, so I call that the returning to exercise phase, and that's split into 2 separate phases of 6 weeks. So 6 weeks will be a block, and then the following 6 weeks will be a separate block where we push things up a little bit more, but still very, very lightweight training, pretty much free weights and very basic exercise.
What about if I'm a woman and I come to you and I'm like, you know what, I feel I can push 3 plates, 4 plates, and they're saying, look, I've done the first phase, I'm in phase 2, but I'm 4 weeks into phase 2 now. I know I can do more. So I want to do 3 plates on a leg press, 4 plates on a leg press. I want to be training with intensity. What is your approach then?
Absolutely no.
Yeah.
Just because you feel okay, the inside is still healing, and it can take up to 1 year for your tissues to fully recover. So if you're going to want to be doing that, you are risking your health, and health comes first. As a pre and postnatal qualified coach, health is first. If you're going to be doing that, that's on you, but I am not advising that, because you're asking for health implications.
Okay. So then potentially how long after phase 2, or how long really should phase 2 roughly last to then get into, right, I'm training like I fucking mean it?
So phase 2, like I say, it's 2 blocks of 6 weeks. And then phase 3, I call that my strong mama pending phase. And that's where we get back into a bit more of a gym routine. And that's done in 3 blocks of 8 weeks.
Right.
And again, that will gradually push up. But again, it's still not going to be full on gym training. Like, you're going to have a lot more exercise in there and back into the normal gym environment, but we're still not going to be pushing those heavy weights just yet. Again, it is person dependent. So I've got Jess who works with me. She's 9 months postpartum now, and she is back into a normal gym routine. But I worked with Jess prior to pregnancy, so I know her gym experience. I know her pregnancy experience. I know how her birth went, her recovery after birth. and we've gone through the phases. So some people, depending on experience, will go through the phases quicker than others. So like I say, it is very tailored to the individual. And she's actually doing a high rocks in a few weeks' time with her partner, who's your client as well. But yeah, she'll be 10 months postpartum and doing her first high rocks. So we've safely got her back into training, and she's able to do a high rocks in that time.
And I think that the important thing to highlight there, as with anyone that we work with, it's all individual. You know, it's based on, like you say, your experience, your body, and the capabilities that we know we can push you towards. So no, that's really interesting. Anything else you want to add on that?
So the only other thing I'd say is, obviously my role model, the person I inspire to in fitness is Lisa Lansford. She's been in the gym for years and years and years, and she managed to train through most of her first pregnancy. I mean, she's pregnant again now, and she's just done a high rocks at 10 months pregnant, I think, which is nuts. Like, she's an absolute inspiration. But even after her first pregnancy, she got back into training quite early, because she made it clear she had no complications and things like that. And she'll have the right team of people around her supporting her with her journey. But even someone like her who's trained for years and years and years, her postnatal recovery, she still had to strip back the training. She had to build back up and do stuff that was suitable to keep her safe and help with her recovery. And she's someone who's trained for years and years. So it just goes to show, no matter how long you've trained, you still need to take those steps back. And it can feel really frustrating. So with Jess, she was like, I want to push more. I want to push more. And I was like, no, trust me. She's trusted me. And we're ahead of the game. Her recovery's been perfect. And like I say, she's doing a high rocks in a few weeks' time.
Yeah. And I think if I was a female, I would be like that. Like, your head's telling you one thing, but obviously you need to, that's why where the coach comes in and you just say, look, just think about the long term here. It's not about that short term. Yes, it feels really good to go and push things, but what if? And that's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's, I won't take up too much more time on this, but another client, Nikki, who I've got, she again has trained for years and years and years, and she came back to me quite early postpartum, and she even said, I pushed too hard, I didn't listen, and I learnt the consequences. I felt it in my body, it was not right. So I give my ladies warning signs that they need to be looking out for. And she was like, you're absolutely right. And then she trusted me. And since, we've got her back into full recovery, and she's almost back into a normal gym training program.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess this ties in nicely to the next part of the subject that we're going to talk about, which is families. And it will often be said from people who have kids, they will use their kid as an excuse. I don't want to be preparing multiple meals for me, my husband, my children, or what can I eat, these sorts of things. What do you say to that?
I think we touched on this briefly in our last episode, whereas me, you and Olivia, we all have separate meals, but we still sit down and eat as a family because that's really important to us. Even though we're not eating the same thing, it doesn't matter. We're still sat down at the same time, having our family conversation and having that family time together. And it really doesn't make a difference in the time of cooking stuff. Our stuff, we kind of put on at the same time. It's ready at the same time. It's just being organised.
And I think that's the big thing. It's organisation. I mean, it's so simple. Like, we're a modern family in that both of us will muck in and do dinners and stuff. You know, if we're doing our own, I'll probably have chicken with some VT rice and a salad or something like that. Well, that chicken I cut up at the same time as your chicken. We weigh it out though, so we put it in a different drawer in the air fryer. You will often have a pasta with a pesto or something like that. Well, the pasta goes on at pretty much the same time, easy, and then Liv can have whatever she has. I mean, fish fingers normally is what she likes, but she likes some of Daddy's rice or, some peas. It's just really quick, simple meals. But then also, you can even just go, well, you know what, we're all going to eat a high protein meal as a family tonight. Spag bowl, chili, or, pasta bakes, all of these hearty types of meals you can make so simple. We're not asking people to be gourmet chefs every night, and that's what I think people get locked into. Oh, I've got to cook these massive meals, with multiple ingredient recipes. Make food simple but tasty. Use seasonings, use condiments, and that way you'll be on your way.
Definitely. I always recommend spag bowl as well because it's really easy to hide the veggies into kids because you just blend it and mix it in with the sauce and get away with it.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And I guess as well, we're talking about the family unit and stuff. And one of our big beliefs really is that as a parent, you should set the standard. And, we were looking at some statistics recently which really highlight that. And, if one parent is active, and obviously, we're both gym goers, we're active, health and fitness it almost embodies our lifestyle. But if just one parent is active, your child is 40% more likely to follow suit and be active. If both parents are active, that increases up to 70% plus. So what you do as a parent, your child will follow in your footsteps. How many times do you and I see a really, really fat parent with a really, really fat, dumpy kid? And we always make a joke, oh, damn you genetics, and we know it's not genetics, it's lifestyle. No one is born with big bones. Look at the skeletons. You don't see massively obese people when they're decayed and dead in the ground, all of a sudden, showcasing that they've got these massive thick bones. It's not. It's just a normal skeleton with a fuck ton of body fat over it. It is your responsibility as a parent to bring up your kid to be healthy and safe.
Yeah, I lost my trail of thought. I had something off the back of that. But yeah, I do agree with that. And it's too often that we're seeing out-of-shape parents with out-of-shape kids. And again, we touched on this on episode 1, but it's not the child's fault. So you feel guilty for that child. Not guilty. You feel sorry for that child because it's just what they know through their parents' own bad habits. And it's like, we're not saying you can't have treats. For example, we went out a couple of months ago and we went for Chinese just as a treat. Me, you and Liv, I think she'd done well at school or something, or celebrating her first week of school. And then afterwards, she wanted to go to the Ben & Jerry's ice cream shop. So we're like, fine. But because we'd had a Chinese, we had a can of Coke Zero while she had the ice cream. And it's just about, you can treat your child. And obviously she doesn't have that all the time. She knows that's a treat. But just because your child, if you want to treat your child, it doesn't mean you have to as well.
No, I agree. And people use that as an excuse for sabotaging themselves. Oh, my kid wanted this, so I had to have it. They wanted a McDonald's, KFC, shit food. No. You're the one in control of what your kid eats first and foremost.
Yeah.
If you don't need to be giving your child a takeaway every single day, every single week even. It could be a once a month treat. As a kid growing up, I would go to McDonald's maybe once a month with my parents. Pizza Hut once every 3 months or something. And it was exciting to go there because it was new, and it was a real treat as opposed to what I expected. And I think it's just too easy in society now. And it's lazy. It's lazy parenting. Can't be asked to cook tonight. We're going to get a takeaway.
Yeah, and it is. And your kids will appreciate it more, even at a young age. Like Liv knows that she gets treated if she does well. It's not you'll get treated just because we can't be asked. It is a treat. And I think just in general life, that helps your children as well because they'll appreciate things more rather than just expect.
Absolutely. And then with that as well, we're talking about setting the standard as a parent. Obviously, Liv asks us where we're going at times and stuff. And it'll be like, or she'll now say, have you been to the gym today? And she talks about muscles and being fit, protein, carbs, all these sorts of things, all these, real good habits that have been ingrained into her from such a young age. So she is quite clearly going to be super fit. And she'll ask us, Daddy, feel my muscles, Mummy, feel my muscles. Have I got bigger muscles than you? Or this sort of thing, But the other day we went to Rhino's gym where we train. And it was the second time she'd been down there. And it was just to go and see the owner, Nick, and have a look around the gym. But she was so excited and she's like, I've missed Nick and everything. Nick gave her a big hug. Can I go into the gym and have a look? We're walking in there and she is in awe of it. She thinks it's amazing. She can't wait to get in there. And then she went and picked up, or I handed to her, 2.5 kilo dumbbell. She picked up and curled it. I was like, you're 4, And then I was like, do you think you can pick up 2? She's like, yeah. And then picked up 2 and then held it and curled it. I'm like, that's brilliant. Already, you are a little gym girl. Like when the time comes, you will be there. But in your mind is, I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, I want to be strong. That's all standards that we've ingrained in her. If we weren't in this lifestyle now and we were couch potato slobs, we'd have given her an iPad and just sit down, shut up, watch your iPad. But because we're so active with her, I fully believe that actually it's also enhanced her ability at school and her ability to absorb information and just learn to a higher standard.
Yeah, completely agree. And I also think going forward, it's going to set her up well in life because she's going to be a girl who wants to go to a gym. She's not going to be intimidated by the gym environment like some girls are. So my mum wasn't into fitness, but I had a friendship group who were into the gym. So I didn't have that. But you see a lot of girls think, oh, it's a manly environment. they think skinny is good, whereas Liv's gonna be strong,
Yes.
confident, and happily walk into, like she did the other night, just happily walk into a gym environment and feel at home, which is really nice.
Yeah, and the big word you used there as well, confidence. And I think that Liv is a very strong, confident little girl already. Like she not likes to be the centre of attention as such, but she will meet people, she will talk to them, she doesn't shy away as such. You know, and again, this is all habits that we've instilled to her because we've tried to build her up. So again, like both of us were chronically shy as kids, both of us. You know,
Yeah.
we've spoken about that with each other in the past. And it was very much a case of we don't want Liv to be like that. You know, so it's about encouraging to bring out the best of her, not shutting her down, not making her feel substandard or anything like that. It's about Liv comes first, really, you know, in everything that we do. And again, I think that's the role of a parent. You know, bring out the best qualities in your kid instead of stifling their creativity and going, well, Daddy, can you draw with me tonight? And half the time, no, I don't want to draw. But yeah, okay, because otherwise, what am I going to say? Sit down, shut up, watch your iPad, and then what happens? You know, the kid becomes a shell, and we all see these kids that are, you know, shut away in their bedrooms with the iPads and that, and then the rest of society complains, why are kids never out and about? You know, and then they're out and about. Oh, kids cause too much noise these days. They can't win. So for us, I just think it's about encouraging her and supporting her development as much as possible, but showing her how to lead a strong and healthy life, really.
Definitely. And we often say, like, we have no idea where her confidence comes from. But then when we sit down and talk like this, actually, that is where it comes from. It comes from us, but in a positive way. And I mean, in the summer, she does street dance, which she loves. And she got up on a stage in a tent full of people and danced on a stage.
Yeah, at 4 years old.
Yeah, was she 4 then?
I think so. Yeah, she was.
Just turned 4. And we said we wouldn't, at 4 years old, neither of us would have had the balls to do that.
No, it's great to see, really. But I do think your role as a parent is to set the standard. And again, I think, look at yourself. You know, your child will become a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking in the mirror and you're like, I'm letting life get the better of me, what's that telling your child? You know, that should happen to them when they get older. You know, I feel at 41 that I'm still getting better. And of course, you know, with that, I've got like bodybuilding goals and that sort of thing. And that's what keeps me driven in the gym. But just as a man, I want to be strong. I want to be fit. I want to separate myself away from people who are average because, you know, unfortunately, society, average person society now is not in a good spot, you know, and then it's very easy to be the figurehead of a family almost. And, you know, I'm not like, I'm man, you're woman kind of thing. Like we both set that standard, but I do think it is so important as a society to have, you know, strong parents as a unit.
Yeah, and just on this topic, because I think it does fit in nicely, particularly women. I was like it after birth, like I lost myself. I could not look in a mirror. Like if I caught my reflection, I hated it. And I would talk so negatively about myself. And I think that was one of the flicks I had. Like Liv was really young then, so she wouldn't have picked up on it. But I was like, I don't want Olivia hearing her mummy talk about herself like that. And then that coming on into her and her picking out her flaws. So
Yes.
I think it's really important as a mum that you need to feel confident in your own skin. Which you will do if you invest in your health and lifestyle. And then that, again, passes down to your daughter. If they see you liking what you see, feeling good in your clothes, that's going to reflect on them. Whereas if you're the sort of mum who looks in the mirror, oh, I've got nothing to wear, oh, I look so fat today, your children are going to hear that. They're going to pick up on that. And they're going to look in the mirror at themselves and think the same things about themselves.
Yeah, that's really true. And then I think on a final note as well, really, in relation to the parenting topic, and we're saying about setting a standard, it's also about hard work and putting in the work, because often we'll bed Liv and she'll be like, what are you doing now? Are you going to bed? And we're like, no, we've got some more work to do. And Liv often sees us just working hard, but with hard work comes good things. And again, it's instilling that work ethic in her from a young age, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, and she knows as well. I think, again, we touched on this on the last episode, but she knows that we work hard to give her what we can in life, and she understands the importance of working hard to get nice things.
No, agreed. Okay, so it's often said by people, I struggle to get my protein in. And I think a lot of people do, but it's because they're looking at the wrong options. And they convince themselves that they don't like certain things. Or they're picking very high calorie options, which have the word protein in bold across the front of a packet. You know, you're getting a little dessert and it's like 260 calories or something. You know, if you look at some chicken, the equivalent amount, much higher in protein. For that amount of calories, you're probably getting a good 50 grams of protein instead of 20, and then minimal fats, minimal carbs. When it comes to protein, the most easy and convenient option is a whey protein. And actually, it used to be thought that whole foods were best in terms of protein absorption rates. But there's a new study that's come out recently, and they're talking about the bioavailability of protein. And actually, number one is a whey protein. Better digested and absorbed than anything else. Chicken, tuna, Greek yogurt, any beef, any other options. And I think a lot of people have a stigma around protein shakes because back in the day, like 20 years ago or so, they weren't pleasant. But actually now, we know, and we'll come on to this in a minute, because we'll pick our favourites.
Yeah.
There are so many good brands out there. And if you want to keep calories low, you can mix them with water. Back in the day, mixing a protein shake with water was disgusting. They were like chalk, the flavour was off, whereas now they're pretty much a milkshake, even if it's in water. So when it comes to whey protein, you've got a few different options. You've got a whey protein isolate, which is best. It used to be about 97% protein quantity. So per 100 grams, you'd have 97 grams of protein. Now, isolates aren't as strong as they were. It's about 88, 86%. And then you've got your whey concentrates next, which is probably in the region of 66 to 72%, somewhere in that region. Whey isolate is best because it's pure protein, less carbs, less fat, but super expensive. And, I will only run an isolate if I'm doing a very specific diet where my carbs and fats are driving low. But a whey protein concentrate, just general whey protein powder, I can have that year round, and I know you're the same. So talk to me a little bit, or to the audience, about your experiences with protein powder and how your mindset over them has changed.
Yes, I used to hate them. I would drink them for the sake of it, but I'd literally just want to throw up afterwards. One, because of taste. Biggest thing, texture. I cannot stand lumpy texture because it literally makes me gag. But yeah.
So something funny?
Yeah. So yeah, protein powders have definitely come on a long way. And again, if you think that it's going to be like that, it's just changing your mindset around it, because now the proteins are fab. May as well just go into my favourite ones. That leads on well. So I swear by the Chemical Warfare range. We work with Chemical Warfare, and we do have a discount code.
What is it?
ADOMI 10. So ADOMI 10. That will get you money off. I've tried a hell of a lot of protein shakes, and they are up there as one of the best for me. Mixed with water, like you say, it tastes like a milkshake, even mixed with water.
Flavours? What's your favourite flavours of those?
The vanilla, it tastes like a McDonald's vanilla milkshake. Butterscotch pancakes, they are my two favourite ones. But yeah, it mixes well. It mixes into Greek yogurt. No lumps when you mix it around. Shake it up just with water, and it tastes like a milkshake. My next favourite, underneath that, is Perform. We've just currently got the sweet and salty popcorn. Because you came home with it, and I was like, oh, not sure about that. But that actually tastes like a waffle cone, and that is really, really nice. And I've had the... oh my God, what's it called? The Kinder White Bueno one before, and that's really nice.
We had cookies and cream once as well.
Yes, we did. And again, they're nice and smooth in texture, mix well into foods. And we work with Fuel for Fit. And the same...
.co.uk.
Yeah, .co.uk. And the same discount code applies with them. So ADOMI 10 will get you money off. And I'm not just saying this because we have work with them. I'm saying it because they are my two favourite proteins out there. So yeah, what about you?
Butterscotch pancakes, OP1, without question, my favourite ever protein, and I've tried a hell of a lot of proteins over the years. Vanilla, OP1, very good as well. Perform, I really like. I also like the Trained by JP range as well. They've got one chocolate caramel nut, I think it is. It's like a Snickers. It was so good. I tend to stay away now from places like My Protein, Bodybuilding Warehouse. I used to really rate Bodybuilding Warehouse, but I just found that they'd increased their prices a fair bit. And now, for these My Protein, Bodybuilding Warehouse, bulk.com, a lot of time you're paying the same price that you would for a named version of a protein. And actually I find that the named versions just mix that little bit better. So I would prefer actually to go for the branded options. I think one of the big things that people need to understand is that not all protein is created equal. Yeah. If something is cheap, it's cheap for a reason. And what you'll get in a lot of them is the carbohydrate intake going up. And you'll find that there's a lot of sugars in them. Some of them will be marketed as diet ways, but actually sometimes there's the increased calories in those. Some, not all, but some. And then you've also got beef protein isolate. People will hear the word beef and obviously protein and think that must be good because beef is a good source of protein. It is, but a beef protein powder is not. When you're looking at a protein powder, essentially what you want is for it to contain all of the aminos, which are like your building blocks of protein. So it's a complete protein source. If you are having a beef protein isolate, it is deficient in leucine. Leucine is the main muscle building amino. So your beef protein isolate is dog shit when it comes to building muscle. So actually, what you've got is a glorified collagen powder. So it's going to be good for skin, hair, nails, connective tissues. But in terms of muscle building, it's rubbish. So there's a reason why beef protein isolate is cheaper than a whey protein. And it's because it's inferior.
And you just took the next bit that I was going to say, diet proteins, because I think a lot of women will go for that thinking it's a healthier option when you've rightly said it's not. So I don't know about you, but myself, when I have clients come to me, we'll always recommend what proteins to have, but we can say, if you already use something, that's fine. But I will always say, if you're not using what I'm recommending, send it across so I can review it, because some out there are branded as protein powders and they're just full of shit.
There's these ones that I can't remember. It might be like Serious Nutrition or something like that. They come in a black bucket, and a lot of people get them off Amazon because it's really cheap. But then you look at it and your protein content isn't that high comparatively to any other standard protein powder, but your carbohydrate intake in that is huge. And essentially it's almost like a mass gain, even though it's like serious protein or something. And I say to people, honestly, what I would do with that, I'd bin it. Yeah. I'd absolutely bin it. It is a waste, and it's so high in calories. And I guess one other thing actually to mention is if you are buying a ready-to-drink protein from the shops, you'll often find that the calories in that are much higher than if you were to just weigh out some protein powder before you went to work or something, because it's already mixed with things like milk and that sort of thing, and it really does ramp up the calories.
Yeah, and same with protein bars, just while I know we're covering more protein shakes, but protein bars, for what you get, if you actually look at the calories involved in that, the quality of the protein, there's additional shit in there as well. Yeah. You're better off having a protein shake.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. Okay, so that's protein covered. What next?
So the final topic is about coaching and how you can't do it alone.
Okay.
So I'll let you kickstart that one.
Well, I think it comes from more men than women traditionally. Men are a bit more stubborn.
Yeah.
I can do this. Ask yourself now, January the 1st came, this was going to be your year. How much progress have you really made in these first 9.5 months of the year? I would argue that I can fast track all that you've done and condense it into the next 12 weeks. You know, I see it time and again. I think I know what I'm doing. And they just spin their wheels. For many men, it's a case of, I'll bulk because I want to get bigger. Put on 10 pounds. Oh, I feel a bit fat now. I'll go start a diet, go really aggressive with the diet, not sustainable. So they'll either crack and then start bulking again, or they'll start off and they'll smash off that 10 pounds and then be like, I feel really skinny now. And then they'll bulk up again. And all they do is yo-yo that 10 pounds. And it means they present the same physique year in, year out, often carrying a bit of a spare tire around their midsection, but the arms look okay, you know, and they think that's how it should be or how it's always going to be. And I'm like, you're not broken. You just don't have the right plan. And I wish I could bring more awareness to men as to what is truly achievable over a 6-month period, because you can make so much progress and save yourself so much wasted time. Like for me, I was one of those guys who thought I could do it alone for so long. You know, I think I started off I don't even know what year it was. I've been training for the best part of 21 years. And, you know, those early years, I made so many mistakes. But I wouldn't listen, you know. I'm reading magazines, you know, or looking on the internet about what I should do. I think I found the secret now, you know, the program hopper, that sort of thing. And then it was only when I worked with my first coach that I truly committed ever to a proper fat loss phase. And then I got inside out peeled, you know, and then I had a big growth phase off the back of it. And then it's been a process over the years. And I still work with coaches every now and again because I'm like, no, I don't want to think. I just want to do. I want to execute. I know what I'm doing. You know, someone comes to me, I will get you the body that you want. It may take time, but I'll damn well get you there, depending on how realistic your goal is. but coaches still need coaches because I want to be accountable to someone. And I think that's a big thing. Like I maintain high levels of accountability because it's my job. You know, if this wasn't my job and I didn't have to set the standard for my clients, then I would slip way more often. You know, I would be the sort of person to be a little bit more relaxed with my diet. But I want to set the standard so that if I give 100%, my clients haven't got an excuse not to. But for your average guy, who knows whether you're cheating on your diet? You know, who knows when you're slipping up? Who knows when you're half-assing your training? No one. So I think a big thing with coaching is understanding that someone like me, you, will fast track your results. So whilst you may see it as an expense of coaching, actually, you're saving yourself a lot of time. You're saving yourself a hell of a lot of frustration, and emotionally and physically, you're going to feel so much better at the end of it as well.
Yeah. And I think with women, it's kind of similar, but opposite. It's where most women want that toned physique, but they don't understand that that's a process of losing body fat and then building muscle and then stripping back down. So most women will stop at the end of a diet and that's it. And that's why they will never progress their physique, because they won't commit to growing and that next step, which is needed to really build a physique.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And I think there's a stigma around coaching as well, to a degree, because there are so many rubbish coaches out there. And anyone now can crop up and put online coach in their bio. I've followed a diet. I've got shredded in 12 weeks. I'm now going to coach everyone doing that, and everyone now will get the same results. And then when it doesn't work for someone, they're like, okay, now what? Because they haven't got a base of knowledge. And so I would implore anyone to do your research. There is a reason why established quality coaches charge more than your average little 20-year-old who thinks they can now be a coach because they've got themselves a set of abs on a 170-pound frame or something like that.
Yeah. And then just going on to like coaching, like you said, we've both worked with coaches and it's really incentive. It stops us having to think. Like when we're running with as many clients as we are, they're our priority. So to just have a plan, know what we're doing, it makes life easy because we'll just tick those boxes. And for me personally, I find it bloody exciting. Like with Georgie, whenever I do my check-in, as soon as that notification came through that I got my feedback, I was so excited to watch it and would watch it at the soonest opportunity. So I'm like, right, what's she going to say?
Yeah,
What's happening now? And you're not always going to have changes, but you're just ready. You know you've smashed it. So you're like, right, what's she going to say off the back of this? And I find that with some of my clients, there's certain clients who I know, as soon as I hit that send and give them their feedback video, I get a notification, it's being watched. And that's how it should be. And all right, you might have a job where you're not able to watch it straight away, but it should be as soon as you're able to, you're wanting to watch that feedback to know what's coming.
Yeah, I always find it strange when, you know, you get a notification like 2 days later, so-and-so's watched their feedback. I'm like, why have they waited 2 days? First of all, there could be a change there. And if I'm putting you into a deeper calorie deficit, then you've just wasted 2 days in between now and the next check-in. Or equally, you're in a gaining phase and weight's plateaued a little bit, so I'm giving you more food. You've just underate for 2 days, you know? I always find it so bizarre. Like when I worked with Christian, Jack, any coach really, it's like, right, what's the feedback? Because I want to know and I want to get on with that plan as soon as possible. I don't want to I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, you know, working with a coach is damn exciting, you know, and I will be working with another coach again back in January to help with this bodybuilding prep. Because again, I don't want to think about anything. I think about 53 guys' diet plans, training plans, physiques. When it comes to myself, I just want to do.
Yeah. And that's the same for me. I've got some surgery coming up for my health issues. So you're kind of just being my second pair of eyes at the moment. Yeah. But once my surgery's out the way, I'm going to be working with another coach myself to go through a proper growth phase and really commit to that. Because again, just the accountability, the guidance, the excitement of it. Yeah, just really excited for what's to come.
Awesome. Now I look forward to seeing it. I guess we've got a few more minutes spare before we need to wrap up. So you alluded to what's coming up for you. What's your physique goals over the next year, really?
Well, unfortunately, this year hasn't quite gone to plan. So after photo shoot, I was going to be reverse dieting and then really pushing in a growth phase. But I have been out the gym more than I would have liked to have been. So I've kind of just been maintaining. I've had a little bit more food freedom, which has been nice because the beginning of the year up to shoot had been really restrictive. So that's been nice, but it's kind of get a grip, get control of everything again and just hold at maintenance. So we've just done a mini cut because we're going away for our friend's 40th this upcoming weekend, which is really exciting. So just wanted to tidy up a bit with that. And then I'm going into a bit of a growth phase for the end of the year. So there's not that long left of
Probably
the year
a
now.
10-week push.
Yeah, so I'm not going to make massive changes in that time. A proper growth phase needs a good amount of commitment. So I'm not expecting much. But I'm just going to do what I can do in the circumstances. And then I'm going to be going into a cut in the new year because we have our family holiday. So I want to be lean for that. But I do have surgery, which is, again, going to take some time out. And with my health conditions, endometriosis and adenomyosis, I do get flare-ups. And I've had quite a few recently. So it's just managing around that. So yeah, hopefully be nice and lean for holiday. And then, like I say, after surgery, I can really commit to building, and then hopefully next year will be where some big progress is made.
Yeah, nice. And then what, a photo shoot in 2027?
Hopefully, as long as enough progress is made. My physique goal is Lisa Lansford. I mention her quite a lot. She is my absolute girl crush and the physique I aspire to have. But I know that's not going to happen in a year. It's going to take me 3, 4, maybe 5 years to get to where she is. But I'm excited for it and excited for the process.
Nice one.
And then obviously yourself, we know that you're going to be doing your bodybuilding again.
Yeah. So the plan now will be obviously get this weekend done and dusted. And then I will have to hold at maintenance for 2 weeks just because I've got to take 2 weeks out of the gym. Then that leaves me probably 8 weeks left of growth for the year, really. Just look to smash as much growth as I can. But I mean, realistically, it's going to be £8. I don't want to be putting on much more than £1 a week, to be honest. So yeah, just max out there. I've already made improvements with my legs. I can see that. Anywhere else that grows is a bonus. But the big goal was to bring up legs even more so this year. January, I'll start almost like a pre-prep, just tidying things up. And then February, it'll be go time with a view to competing in probably May and June. And then hopefully, if things go my way, shutting it down June, enjoying a holiday and everything, and then probably competing again in kind of your September, October time. Like I say, if all goes to plan. It's a big if. I've got some goals that I want to hit next year, but we'll see. But I've definitely got things I'm working towards, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
Okay. So that was episode 2 of the Fit Parents podcast.
Thanks for listening. And as ever, give us a like, give us a subscribe. And if you've got anything that you want us to cover, please drop a message in the comments below or message either of us direct.
Guys, have a good one. Take care.
Take care. Bye.